Hey, I'm Chad Lawson, and I'm going to walk you through my original piece, Prelude in D major, from the album You Finally Knew. Let's dive in. Let's not make these things elongated than what they should be. Sheet music is available. Check out the link below, click on that, and follow along. All right. The thing about this piece is that it's short, which is the good thing. The other thing about this piece is that it's not the easiest piece. It's not as difficult as, per se, maybe Ballad in C minor from the piano, nor as kind of like rhythmically complicated as Nocturne in A minor. The most important thing about this piece is arpeggios. The chord structure is really simple in this piece. So let me walk you through the chords really quick. So the very first chord is going to be a D major. Next chord is going to be a B flat diminished. Now this is where it gets interesting. You guys know how I love to play a chord, but I use a different note in the left hand as far as the bass is concerned. So this next chord is a D again, but this time we're using an A as the bass. So instead of playing this, we're actually going to be playing this. So let me walk you through that. An A7 with an E in the bottom, okay? So that honestly is, now that I think about it, that's really the only chords in the piece. There's some variances towards the end, but for the most part, that's it. The reason why I'm telling you the chords up at the very beginning is because if you can find the time to actually just work on arpeggios. I know it's boring. I know it doesn't feel like you're being musical, but you have to be able to learn how to tie your shoes before you run in them, right? So that being said, I am going to create an exercise for you guys, not today, because I just want to get this video out, with arpeggios. For right now, what I recommend doing is, as you see right here, I have a D chord. And I just recommend practicing just 2 octaves of these arpeggios. So you'll notice I'm using my 5th finger, my pinky, my middle finger, my 3rd finger on the F sharp, my 2nd finger, my pointer finger on the 5, the A, and then my thumb. And the same pattern just repeats itself. So some piano educators, it just varies for whoever you are, and there's no right or wrong. It really just depends on your style and how you play and what feels comfortable for you, right? I've had some teachers that have never allowed there to be a crossover, and so what they would emphasize is picking up the hand and moving. I think there's actually some great legitimacy to that. However, there has to be exceptions, right? So, and then one thing about these arpeggios, and any technique, to be honest, excuse me, is I imagine my hand as a jellyfish. I imagine that my hand has no bone structure, right? And the thing with technique is, goodness, I have a frog in my throat. The thing with technique is, with the hand, you have a little bit of an arch curve, but honestly, everything that I'm doing with my hand, I'm moving everything from here forward, okay? I'm not curling and doing this, again, this is me personally, because all of that stems from the forearms, and that makes the forearms really tense, at least for me. What I'm doing is I'm trying to put the emphasis on the tip of my finger right here. And if you'll notice, everything is being lifted from this area right here. I studied with a really tremendous doctor of piano, Paul Nietzsche, who actually lives in Charlotte, North Carolina. He teaches at Queens College, and he's just tremendous with technique. And it changed everything, honestly, really. And I've been playing piano for 40 years, and I'm a technique junkie, probably a little OCD about it. And so when he and I began working together, he really enabled my left hand to be as effortless as the right hand, right? So there were weaknesses in the left hand that we needed to work on. And so his premise is using this area forward. And as soon as you strike the note, you release that tension. There's no need to like hold down a note. Right? A lot of times you guys, you'll see me kind of like do this to the note, but what I'm doing is I'm letting go of the tension. I'm not holding on to that note. So I'm actually just playing and then I'm letting go of the tension. So like visually, I'm hitting a chord. And so like, let's imagine I'm pushing in. I wouldn't do this. You don't want to do the curve there. But then you just let go. So push, let go, right? It's like, almost like a punch, you know? Red Garland, tremendous jazz pianist back in the day and huge influence on my playing. He was a boxer, right? And so like he had that element of knowing when to punch, and like, you know, when you punch, you're not continually pressing in. It's the same thing. It's the same concept with the piano. How is it I always just tend to like go off in a whole different spiderweb with these videos? I don't know. I'm sorry, but I hope you're getting something out of this. Okay, back to the arpeggios. D. Next chord is B flat diminished. I'm not playing all of the notes in the B flat diminished, so just doing B flat, E, G. Weird buzz going on. Cool. This is where it gets a little loopy, to be honest, and actually, for me personally, as far as just remembering the chords. So it does go back to the D, however, I'm using an A as the bass. Right, so it's still a D, but I'm starting with the A. And then the last chord is an A7, but I'm using an E, I'm using the 5. The thing about this piece is I'm never going to play the left hand the same way twice. It's just not my nature. And a lot of times I'm just playing over chords, right? So like that's what I'm thinking when I'm playing this piece. So for instance, with the melody here with Prelude in D major, I have the melody and so if you notice that run, I may change that. It may not always be that exact pattern, but what I'm doing is I'm centering around that arpeggio of just the triad. I could go further up. I could maybe not go as high. Right? So I'm going to play that beginning part. All right, I'm going to do that one more time so you can see. While I'm playing this, keep in mind I'm playing D major, B flat diminished, D over A, and then A7 over E, okay? Just watch the left hand, right? Right now I'm playing it slower, and I'm not doing all the flourishes that the right hand usually does. I know you're gonna hate to hear this, but honestly, I would spend so much time just working on that section right there with the left hand. It's so important because the thing is, you can make this piece your own. Once you have the melody in your right hand and you're able to do it, your left hand can go anywhere, and you can make it as simple as you want to, or you can make it as glitzy as you want to, whatever the word that comes to mind. So for instance, when I'm playing this live, okay, that was a little excessive, but you see what I'm saying. Like, you have so much liberty to really play with this and to really make it something unique. And you also have so much time that you can take with this. You can play so rubato during this piece, okay? All right, the melody. So if we look at the melody with this, everything is centered around the third for the most part. That's what makes a melody strong. I've talked about this before in other videos. So for instance, if I'm playing just the melody, okay, that's the simple version of the melody. There are a couple of flourishes that I want to go over now really quickly. At the end of the phrase, there is an approach note kind of process that we're doing. So instead of landing on just that A, I'm going to show you what I do. So if I'm playing that D over A section, instead of going just directly here to this A7 over E, which is nice, it's lovely, there's nothing wrong with it, but going back to that D over A, there's a whole lot of harmony that we can get into as far as, like, you know, flat nines and all these kind of runs. But basically, in a roundabout way, you can use whatever scale you're in and land where you need to. But for right now, let's just learn it. So basically, I'm just playing the A sharp, C sharp, B. Now that theme reoccurs quite a bit during this piece, right? So actually in just a little bit, you'll hear it go down an octave. Okay, so I'm gonna play the entire first section, the first A, if you will. So here we go. All right, so again, just 4 chords, right? I was playing a lot of Mozart when I was writing this album, and what impressed me so much is how, I don't want to say simple because that's not the right word, but how few chords Mozart was using during his writing, right? So he would go from, you know, for example, he would go from like a D to an A to a D. And he'd go back and forth, and the melodies that he would create with just those 2 chords was just mind-boggling. And so that really was kind of the impetus behind creating this album and this piece. I really wanted to focus on melody and what can we create with really simple tools, right? Okay, next section. I'm gonna play it for you really quick, and then we're gonna go over it. Here we go. Okay, if you were paying attention, you may have caught that a lot of the chords are the same from what they were in the first section, in the A section. So, we've got that B flat diminished, and I'm just going down back to the D, but I'm using an A in the bass. So those chords, flat diminished, D over A, back to the B flat diminished, and again with the D over A. Now melodically what's going on there is, let me play just the melody really quick. And then that goes down an octave. If you notice, the melody is really just outlining the chords, especially that D chord. So, you know, again with that B flat diminish, watch this now, that D over A, watch the melody. That's just a D triad, right? And then if we continue, that goes an octave lower. And then honestly, just a little bit of a flourish. I'm still playing the D major triad, but I'm just adding a little bit of that flourishing that we were talking about earlier. Okay, this is where it gets a little on the hairy side. I'm gonna walk you through it. I'm just gonna I'm gonna show you what the chords are, and it's really gonna make a big difference. So let me just show you the chords really quick. So this is kind of like a B flat diminished in a roundabout way. I'm changing a little bit. Another way to look at it is a G minor over a D. But I like that E natural, and that's kind of where that B flat diminished is coming from. So I mean, you can look at it in a number of ways. Don't overanalyze it. Honestly, don't overthink it. Just, you know, find what works best for you. In my chart, I think I have, I don't know, I think I have like G minor over D or something like that. So this chord, E minor 7 flat 5, that's actually what I have, but I'm playing on the 7, so. The next chord is a D7, but over the 7, so the C. G over a B. G minor over B flat. So again, one more time, E minor 7 flat 5, but with a D. D7 over C, G over B, G flat over B flat, and then D over A. Look at that, right there's the outlining again of the D major triad. And then we land on the third of that A7. Okay, the piece doesn't do that. That's actually an A7 bebop scale, which I think is fantastic. When I do that live, and I play this live, I actually use that because there's so many great things you can do with chromatics that sound really difficult, but they're really not. So for instance, when I'm going from that D over A, right, that's one, or you can do, right, there's that approach note theory again, where we're wanting to land, but we're working around that whole concept. Okay, I'm going to play that section for you, and then we're going to move on. Here we go. So first I'm going to play you with that E flat minor 7 flat 5 section, and then I'm going to play the B section. Great, cool. Here we go. Hope you're enjoying this. Hope you are getting something out of this. Yeah, here we go. I just realized I didn't show you the melody of that weird section with the E minor 7 flat 5. Let me show you the melody really quick. My apologies. Okay, going back to that E minor 7 flat 5 with the D. The melody now just a little bit of a flourish, a little bit of a trill. Again, those approach notes. So I'm going to play that section. I'm going to show it to you without the approach notes. So I'm going to go to that E minor 7 flat 5 over the D. Right? That's just the normal. But had I done that flourish, let me show you what that flourish is again. Where am I? Cool, so just that melody right there. E minor 7 flat 5 over D. Now, a second ago, you actually saw me playing with just the straight eighths. I do that a lot with this piece because I will be honest with you, and this is a difficult piece to memorize, at least it was for me. And even, so in doing so, a lot of times with the melody, I do this. So let's take that section that we're working on because it is not an easy section. So if I were just to take the melody, and then the left hand, I'm just doing quarters or eighths or whatever's easier for you. And then I began adding those flourishes in. Really taking your time, going over that over and over and over again. All right, so that section, and then we're going to move on. We're actually almost done with the piece. There's one little twist, always a twist right at the very end. Let's see. Right, that's why it's so important to know these chords so you can do crazy arpeggios like that G minor section. That's not what's written, and that was the first time I did it, but I just felt on a whim to do an arpeggio like that. Okay, as you were hearing, it does go back to the melody, which is really great. So I'm going to play this next section, which we will call C. So section C, you're going to hear a little bit of something you're used to, and then you're going to hear just a little bit of a change, all right? So let me play that section for you. This is section C. Okay, did you recognize some parts? So the very first section we've already covered, right? So it's just like the very beginning. The flourishes, the approach notes, there was two actually, where it's a little different. Again, there's nothing difficult about it. I'm just creating some extra color around by using chromatics and using these approach notes. So with that B flat diminished, I'm starting on F natural, F sharp, A, G, F sharp. And then when landing on the B minor, C, C sharp, F sharp, E, B. Oh, my bad. Cool. That's an A there, but let's work to that A. So on that B minor, I'm really just doing an arpeggio. So I'm bringing my left hand up to this F sharp. And the notes I'm doing, one more time. And all of that is over a B minor. A lot of times I'll put my thumb here. So if you'll notice, I'm basically just moving up at B minor. And I'm landing on the A sharp for this E. You would think that it's an A over an E, but it's actually not. What I'm doing is I'm creating that tension release that I've talked so much about in earlier videos. So the C sharp going to the B. Right? Had I left that note there, exhale, exhale, exhale. Ah, there it is, right? So there's that tension and release. Okay, I'm gonna play that middle section of section C, and then I'm gonna play out. So yeah, we're almost done, honestly. All right, here we go. So that middle section with starting on that B flat diminished. You can choose whatever ending you like. I don't think that's actually the album, but lately in my practicing, I've been practicing that for some reason, so it just feels right. Otherwise, you can kind of do, the arpeggios going up from, from the bottom. So if you have that A7, I have noticed, and this is just a personal thing for me, I have noticed ending on the root is usually a good thing. Sometimes ending on the third, it just doesn't feel settled, at least for me. And then ending on the fifth, it doesn't quite, it's not really a strong note to end on, right? So if you're gonna do those arpeggios in the left hand, excuse me, in the right hand, so if you've got that A7, for me personally, and this is just, you guys are probably gonna think I'm crazy, but for me, that like that 5, that A just doesn't go, you know. But that's just me. Okay, so that's the piece. I hope you've gotten a lot out of this. I hope I haven't confused you. If you have any questions, if you have any thoughts, don't hesitate. I would like to create a practice tutorial for this as far as just arpeggios, especially if you don't know how to read music, and there's nothing wrong with that. As far as not there yet, I encourage you to start learning how to read, because it will just help expand your mind and your ability, and also your passion, right? Just that curiosity of like, oh, I would like to learn this piece. But I am going to create some arpeggio practices, and I'm actually going to write out what the notes are as well as the fingerings. So if you don't know how to read music, fret not, I got you covered. Just give me a couple of days. It's been a little bit crazy. So I hope you're well. I hope everything is doing okay. Sheet music is available. Thank you so much. If you haven't subscribed, please like it, and that really means a lot. And I'll see you next time. All right, take care.